What We Do in the Shadows Season 4 is an American mockumentary comedy horror television series created by Jemaine Clement. It premiered on March 27, 2019 on FX. The second television series is a franchise based on the 2014 film of the same name, written by Clement and Taika Waititi. The series follows four vampire roommates in Staten Island and stars Kayvan Novak, Matt Berry, Natasia Demetriou, Harvey Guillén, and Mark Proksch. The series' second season premiered on April 15, 2020, and the third season premiered on September 2, 2021. In August 2021, the series was renewed for a fourth season ahead of the third season premiere. The fourth season premiered on July 12, 2022. In June of 2022, the series was renewed for a fifth and sixth season ahead of the fourth season premiere. It has been critically acclaimed, particularly for its cast and writing, and nominated for 17 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Comedy Series in 2020 and 2022. The cast includes Kayvan Novak as Nandor the Relentless, once the bloodthirsty leader of the fictional kingdom of Al-Kandador in southern Iran and a warrior serving the Ottoman Empire. As the oldest vampire, he is the self-proclaimed leader of the group, and as such frequently calls house meetings for frivolous discussions. Although he generally cares for his familiar, Guillermo, is difficulty expressing it. Nandor is also quite naive in the ways of modern society and humans, which often results in Guillermo becoming frustrated with him. Matt Berry as Leslie Laszlo Cravensworth, a British nobleman vampire who was turned by Nadja and is now married to her. He is bisexual and often preoccupied with thoughts of sex, and he is a former porn actor. Natasia Demetriou as Nadja Antiposcus, a Greek Romani vampire who turned Laszlo into a vampire and later married him. She frequently frustrated with her male housemates and nostalgic about her human life. Harvey Guillén as Guillermo de la Cruz, Nandor's long-suffering Latino familia. Despite his frustration with his unreasonable workload and Nandor's disregard for his mortality, he has served as his master for more than a decade in the hope of being made a vampire. A dream inspired by Armand in the 1994 film Interview with the Vampire, late in Season 1, Guillermo discovers that he's a descendant of the famous vampire hunter Abraham van Helsing, and he proves to be very skilled at killing vampires, including by accident, giving him conflicting feelings about his desire to become a vampire. Guillermo's skill as a vampire slayer leads him to becoming a bodyguard for Nandor, Nadja, and Laszlo in the third season, and he reveals he is gay in the fourth season, coming out to his family, with Nadja having to erase their memories about Guillermo's confession about wishing to become a vampire. And Mark Proksch as Colin Robinson and Baby Colin, the boy in Season 4, an energetic vampire who lives in the basement. He lives by draining humans and vampires of their energy by being so boring or frustrating. As a day walker, he's not harmed by sunlight or entry into churches and is able to work in a cubicle office and feed off co-workers' frustrations. Unlike the other vampires, he shows no outward sign of vampirism except that his irises glow when he feeds on energy, and his reflection shows a pale, decrepit version of himself. The others are continually annoyed by him and often try to avoid associating with him. Following Colin Robinson's death in the third season, in the finale, his infant offspring, also portrayed by Proksch, bursts out of his chest, whom Laszlo, having become friends with the original Colin, elects to raise as his own. Now, I just love this show, and it hasn't lost any of its bite. Aside from this show now turning into a demonic household of three vampires and a baby, What We Do in the Shadows doubles down on what it does best, without any change of the formula. If anything, I think the show's become more raunchy and crude, which is right up my alley. I love the angle of Colin Robinson now being a baby and growing right before our eyes, and the CGI of Mark Proksch's head being placed on the child's body is wonderful, hilarious, and if not frankly odd at times. His rapport with Laszlo is off the charts, and once again, Laszlo is played by the fantastic and fabulous Matt Berry, who is just so funny, yet endearing as Laszlo, as he now shows a softer side, even if only for a few seconds at a time. Nandor's pursuit of love now leads him to find a genie who grants all of his weird and wonderful wishes, some of which have clearly not been thought through. This now brings him his wife, Mara, which leads to some hilarious consequences. Guillermo also evolves as a character, and we found out much more about who he is, as he still serves the vampires of Staten Island with loyalty in the hope of being made a vampire one day, yet he has so many conflicts within himself, and he's a wonderful character to see how he sort of develops throughout the season. Nadja now works, or should I say bosses, the guide, played here brilliantly by Kristen Schaal, who never misses a beat in playing this role absolutely to the point. She now opens a club because the vampires are forced to make money by other means, because now the young Colin Robinson can't remember the account details to log into their bank. Now herein lies my one criticism of Season 4. Natasia Demetriou is an excellent comedic actress, but I find she tends to overdo it in this season, and she does tend to shout a lot of her lines and just sort of overdo the role. In saying that though, don't get me wrong, she's still funny and hilarious, and watching her play off the other characters is always great. It's just that I found her sometimes pushing the boundaries a little bit too much. Now, each episode is fantastic on its own right, but I particularly enjoyed Episode 8, Go Flip Yourself. This, of course, is a rip-off of the reality shows of home renovations and all the fakeness that comes with it. It's so well done, though, because in episode 7, they subtly place an ad advertising the show. Go and flip yourself. You'd even think to yourself, why is that ad straight away in the middle of the show? And even after that, suddenly I started episode 8, and I thought I was actually watching a different show. I thought I'd made a mistake, and I wasn't watching What We Do in the Shadows. Of course, it turned out that this was all part of leading you to believe that the vampires, of course, were having their home renovated. Also, throughout the season, Laszlo keeps making reference to the show, so very subtly and cleverly done. Now, with another wonderful season in the books, I cannot wait to see what comes out of season 5, with this wonderfully weird and eccentric group of vampires. This show is offbeat, never sentimental, and is definitely one of the best comedies of the modern era. What We Do in the Shadows, season 4, gets a 9 out of 10.